Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and today we're going to be covering something that you probably missed for various reasons, which we'll get into. In fact, I'm not certain that you missed this, but I can be fairly confident that unless you are, let's see, Bajarki, Beefmaster, or Kieran, that you probably missed this announcement and this feature within Power BI. And that is that they released, and the reason you probably missed this is that they released this on May 24th of 2023, one day after they announced Fabric, right? So it probably got lost in some of the hoopla over Fabric, if you will. But what they did is, they announced these visual cues for tenant settings, but then they also introduced a new API call, Get Tenant Settings. So if you ever wanted to document your tenant settings, in a Word document or in a Power BI file or however, this, basically provides a mechanism to do this. And so they come down here and they explain that, okay, this is the API endpoint, api.powerbi.com, v1 admin tenant settings, and it pulls back a JSON document for you that has all your tenant settings and stuff. And the nice part is that they, of course, give you a nice link here to get more information, which returns nothing. So yet another reason that that you probably missed this is that I have actually gone through and looked through the Power BI REST API, get rid of that, whatever. I don't know if that's showing for you guys, but I looked through the PowerShell commandlets. I've looked everywhere that I can look. I even downloaded a PDF for this. Let me get that over here. Okay, so I downloaded a PDF. I downloaded the entire PDF, searched the entire PDF, searched through all the REST API documentation, searched for the commandlets, searched for, commandlets over here. I did a ton of searching for any documentation on this new tenant setting API call, and I cannot find any other documentation on it other than this one blog post. All right. So you're thinking, all right, so again, I've got a web, REST API endpoint, returns a JSON document. I should be able to just go into Power BI and just connect to it, and no, it doesn't work. So, I mean, because God forbid that you would create a REST API for Power BI that then could actually be used with Power BI. That's just a crazy thought, right? And you can confirm that this doesn't work because if you go out to actually hit the tenant setting, you come back with, it doesn't even prompt you to log in or anything. It just says no, it's a bad request. If you try to do it through here, it actually tells you, like, if they try to authenticate from like an organizational account, it'll tell you, look, we don't support that. It's basically the message that comes back. So how do you in fact actually use this thing? Well, the easy way, I guess you could say, is use PowerShell. So I'm running PowerShell in administrator mode. And the first thing you're going to do is install -module -name Microsoft Power BI MGMT, right? This is the module that you're going to want to install. I've already got it installed. The next command that you're going to want is this one. It's connect-Power BI service account. And that actually pops up like your organizational account login. Pops it up, you log in, comes back, and then you can actually use this method, which actually what you're going to want to use is this right here. So let's see if I can zoom in. Maybe, yeah, here we go. Invoke-Power BI REST method-URL. Paste in the URL in single quotes. Do a method get, and then I'm redirecting it to a JSON file in my temp directory, right? Tenant settings.json. So once you do that, then you can actually just get it, right? My source here is JSON document. I point it to there. I convert it to a table. I expand it, expand the tenant settings, right? It'll do most of all this for you, basically. When you pull in and you point it to a JSON document, says new source JSON document, point it to the thing, and it'll come back with this table here. So now that once you have that, then you can, of course, create reports based upon it, right? So here I've got the tenant setting security group. Again, the data looks like this, right? It's pretty simple. You got a name, you have a title, you have whether it's enabled or not, true or false, whether or not it can you can specify a security group with it, a group, right? And then it actually has some properties. I didn't expand these out, but these are properties for, like, for example, if you have certain help settings and things like that, URLs. I think maybe if you specify a security group, maybe it'll be listed in here as far as the properties. Didn't really expand this out and get into it because it wasn't really necessary, but feel free to play around with that. But then, basically you can create reports and you can actually have documentation based upon what your tenant settings are. Oh, there we go. So whether or not things are enabled, whether it's disabled, enabled, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously the most you have is you have 31 export and sharing settings, 17 integration settings. And some of these, data model settings, you just have one. There's a lot of these groups with just one or two settings. So anyway, so that's how you do it, people. So I don't think anybody could hold it against you if you missed that that announcement and that tenant setting API. But that's what we're here for. We're here to help close the gaps on some of this stuff. Um, that's all I had for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.